Hey, so a client of mine came in the other day. She's always been very active, but she's never actually taken up strength training, and she wanted to know what strength training would do for her as she ages. So I drew up this diagram for her. On the y-axis, we have strength and capacity. On the x-axis is time, and we also have this frailty disability threshold. So if you drop below that, that is someone who needs an assistive device for walking around, is unable to go up and down stairs, is likely unable to be living independently. On the thick blue line here is someone who is active, but never really strength trains. So you can see that as they're young, they build up a fair amount of strength, and then they kind of peak in their middle years. And again, this is someone who's active but no strength training. They're going to peak and then start to decline, depending on which research article you're reading. It's going to be between 2 to 6% of our strength decreases if we're not strength training year after year after the age of 30 to 40. As they get into their older years, they cross over this frailty and disability threshold. If you look at the purple dotted line, this is someone who's sedentary and has not done any strength training. You'll see that their peak comes on much earlier in their age, and they're also much lower. So they never really hit the same strength level. Then also their slope of decline is sharper, and they spend much more of their life underneath this frailty and disability threshold. And then at the very top in green, we have strength training. So you have, going back to this very active person, if that person is also someone who strength trains, they're going to reach their peak later, and then their slope is going to be much more modest. So they're not going to cross over that frailty disability threshold. And what I find most interesting about this diagram is actually what strength training does to the other people. So if you look at the individual here who's sedentary, if they take up strength training, their capacity and their strength actually increases year after year for quite some time. And then they start to peak, and then they will start to decline over time. But the slope, again, is much more modest. And look at the difference between strength training and not strength training, especially when they get to those older ages. That is a massive difference in their quality of life. The active individual, later on, if they take on strength training, also will increase their strength year after year and then start to decline. But again, massive difference in their functional capacity. And so for those of you who are not strength training, what's most important is to find an entry point that is appropriate for you and where you're at right now, a structured program that is progressive, and then you progress slowly over time.